Hello everybody and welcome to the United Stand. This is your latest Manchester United transfer news, and we've got a massive update coming in from one of the best updates we've had in relation to Jadon Sancho this transfer window, and that is from Jan Fjortoft's podcast, where he's had Christian Falk and Fabrizio Romano on this afternoon, both giving their update on the situation at Manchester United with Jadon Sancho and Borussia Dortmund. So look, there is a lot to get through here. I've just finished listening to it myself. I'm sure a lot of you have listened to it as well. Check it out through Jan Fjortoft's Twitter account. It's on all major podcasts, but I've taken notes of what's been said. The first thing I want to say is that Jan Fjortoft asked Fabrizio Romano, is the deal now finito when it comes to Manchester United and Jadon Sancho? And Fabrizio Romano said, at this moment, not yet. United feel that United and the agent involved don't feel that it's over yet. There are 2 months to do this deal, and United are convinced that they can do it in the coming weeks. So there you go. Manchester United still very confident that they can do this deal at Manchester United, bring him to Manchester United. Also, I mean, there's a lot more than that to get through. Also, Christian Falk, sorry, I just had to mute there, sort something else in the background. Christian Falk was also asked a question about, well, look, Fabrizio Romano is here we go. Christian Falk is true or not true. Christian Falk was asked, has an agreement been done between Jadon Sancho and his agent and Manchester United? And he said, true. And Fabrizio Romano also said, that the deal between the player and the agent is sorted. So you've got, I mean, there's loads more stuff to go through here, and it's just going to be a barrage of confidence around Sancho coming to United, but trepidation. What needs to happen? What has happened? Why United are in a bad situation? Christian Falk revealing something quite damaging about Manchester United's offer that I think will annoy people, but we will talk about that in a moment. But basically, Christian Falk, who we've had on the show, Fabrizio Romano, who we've had on the show, and Jan Fjortoft, who we've had on the show, all been on the show because I asked them to come on the show because I knew they were good people in relation to this particular transfer. Christian Falk, obviously based in Germany, Fjortoft as well, and Fabrizio Romano, as many people would say, is the tier 1 expert when it comes to transfers. Both Christian Falk and Fabrizio Romano saying that Manchester United have agreed wages and terms with Jadon Sancho already, and that which flies in the face of what we were hearing last night, that hasn't happened, because these people are saying that it has, which fits in with what we were told last week. And on top of that, this is maybe why Manchester United are trying to now save face, because they have agreed these terms with the player, which makes them think they're going to get the player. But Dortmund are sat there going, we want 120 million euro. And you're either going to pay 120 million euro or you're not going to get him. And Christian Falk said this is the problem, because Manchester United have been left disappointed because they think, well, you know what, they can get the deal for what they want to pay. Whereas Dortmund are like, well, hold on, you either pay 120 million euro, we take on board that COVID-19 has happened and that, yeah, maybe prices should drop. But we are not in a situation, like was reported yesterday, whereby everyone thought Sancho had 1 year left on his deal next summer. He's actually signed another year last summer. So actually next summer, he'll be in the same position as this summer. And Dortmund, like Christian Falk said, well, for Dortmund, they don't need to sell this summer because next summer is this summer. And next summer, maybe COVID-19 won't happen. So they'll get more money for him. So there is no COVID-19 discount because he hasn't got 2 years left on his contract. He's got 3. So next summer was what everyone thought this summer was going to be, where it would be the last, you know, everyone thought he'd have 1 year left on his contract next summer. He's got 2. So that's what everyone thought we had now, 2. So the COVID thing doesn't make any difference. And Manchester United, I mean, look, for me, I think that contract that Sancho signed last summer to give himself an extra year, it destroys Manchester United's COVID-19, we should get a discount. Because Dortmund can say, well, yeah, you could get a discount, apart from the fact that his contract's longer than you thought, so we don't need to give you a discount. Come back next year and pay what he's worth. So United have got to pay the 120 million euro. We've always known this. But Fabrizio Romano was asked this question towards the end by Jan Fjortoft. Is this deal going to happen? And he said it's likely to happen. They will try again, Manchester United. At the moment, they've hit a block in relation to what fees want to be paid. But they're still negotiating now. He was asked that question. They're still negotiating now. And this is interesting because we sort of hinted about this morning. The players got to do something. And what he means there is the players got to ask to leave. He's not going to go on strike. I mean, he could go on strike, but the players got to ask to leave. And Fabrizio said that the players got to ask to leave. And if he doesn't, I think he will stay. So Manchester United now need Jadon Sancho to push this deal a bit. I'm not saying he needs to go on strike, but I think he needs to put a transfer request in because the player wants to go to Manchester United. And Fabrizio said that many times. He said it on our show. But Christian Falk backed that up as well. He was asked the question, does the player want to come to Manchester United? Yes, he does. So then there now seems to be this theory that Jadon Sancho needs to put the transfer request in or say he needs to go. Mark, you need Sancho to finish higher than us next season, says Zane. And laugh my head off, Zane is on the piss. Don't make Messi Lingardino dance again, says Messi Lingard 14. In relation to the Pogba tweet, I think he's releasing some new football boots tomorrow because he's tweeted out tomorrow. And I think a lot of people think that means a new contract. I think it means football boots. But let's carry on. There's loads to get through with this. Just on a side note, there's somebody I follow on Twitter at Mac the Knife, I think he's called on there. And he's saying that Sancho deal by the end of the week is a possibility. Look, I wouldn't commit to that. You know I won't commit to that because I think it could be weeks. I'm still very confident that this deal is going to happen, as I always have been. But that's not the first time I've heard that it's close and it could happen any day. To me, it doesn't feel like it will be this week, but there's still a lot going on around it. Why did United rush to pay 80 million for Maguire, who's not worth more than 35, yet to be tight on Sancho, says Zane Miassi? Well, many Manchester United fans will feel the same about that. Now, what Christian Falk said as well, and this is very interesting on what Zane is saying there, is that Manchester United made a very, very low offer for Jadon Sancho. It was 80 million max, but with add-ons. And United are trying now to save face because they think the player they thought the player could get them the move by forcing the move. But Dortmund are resolute that it will be 120 million euro, which is what Christian Falk has always said, to be fair. So, but what Christian Falk is saying is that United offered a ridiculously low amount. Now, 80 million, like Zane said, that's the same as what we paid for Harry Maguire, and add-ons is not instalments. This deal is agreed. We said this exactly a week ago. This deal is agreed. The structure is agreed. It's 120 million euros over 3 years. And to me, I think that's fair, and I think many Manchester United fans would say that's fair. So where this 80 million plus add-ons is coming from, is this what somebody was talking about at the weekend? I think it was in The Guardian, that the deal was agreed and then Ed Woodward went back into trying to renegotiate. Now, if that's the case, then I would suspect that 80 million plus add-ons. And look, I don't want to drown people in transfer permutations or wording, but add-ons aren't instalments. If I say to you, I'm going to give you £120 for your PS4, and I'm going to give you £80 this week, £20 the week after, and £20 the week after that, that's instalments. If I say to you, I'm going to give you £80 for your PS4, but if it lasts me for 3 years and I get really good at FIFA, I'll give you another tenner. That's add-ons. It's like performance based, whereas instalments, the money definitely comes in. Dortmund want instalments, add-ons they don't want. So United have got to be very, very careful about that works. Please smash a like on the video anyway. I will summarise it all for you again at the end, but I'm just working through what has been said in what is, to me, I nearly said something else there, but this is a dream. This is exactly what we needed today, the dream team. Fjortov podcast with Christian Falk and Fabrizio Romano. And especially after what Michael Zorg said yesterday about the deal not going to happen, then to get these two people talking together, it's the first time I've ever heard them together as well. It's brilliant. So we've got all these quotes to work through. Now, just on the Michael Zorg thing, I'll come back to that in a minute because Christian Falk was asked about that. can Dortmund move from a situation where they've said he's not going? Well, I'll answer that in a minute, but we've got a few super chats. Nothing is set in stone, says Danny Struland. There is a lot of talk from a lot of people, but keep the hope United will get the deal done, but it won't be pretty. I think that's fair to say. Mark, if we get Sancho by paying more up front like Dortmund want, but then don't sign anyone else in midfield and centre-back, what are your views? Says, I think we've got to get Jadon Sancho. I've said that all along. And hey, Mark, I hope you're well. I'll become a member when we sign Sancho, which I'm semi-confident we will, hopefully, says SJ Johnston. Well, look, we've always been very confident on this channel. It was literally this time last week that we did the video saying that the terms of the deal have been done, and we stand by that, you know. And again, that's been verified again by Romano and Falk today, that the terms with the player have been agreed, and we've always known that the structure of the deal has been agreed. It's all about that first payment that United don't really want to go very high compared to what Dortmund want. And look, Christian Falk was asked by Jan-Åge Fjørtoft. Michael Zorg has come out of Dortmund and said that he's definitely going to stay. Now, the scenario could be that one player loses a player, one club loses their face in relation to they lose the battle. But, you know, will Dortmund allow that to happen? And Christian Falk said, look, Michael Zorg saying that they're not going to sell Jadon Sancho is absolutely the truth. But if Manchester United pay 120 million euros, Michael Zorg can just come out and say, look, we always said to the player, if we got an offer like that, we would let him go. And we're honouring that, and we're very happy with the deal. So I never felt that. I predicted what Zorg would say yesterday morning, and he said it in the afternoon. I knew he would come out and say the player's staying here. He's not going anywhere. We're planning next season with Sancho. Because they know that the one thing about Dortmund that's very important, and Romano has said it, and Christian Falk has said it, and we've said it collectively as a community, is that Dortmund have got no reason to not want 120 million. He's got no reason to drop that price down. He's got 3 years left on his contract, Sancho. Not the 2 we all thought. He's got 3. There is no half price Sancho next summer where you go, it's COVID-19 and it'll be half price next summer, so do as a deal. That's frustrating for United, but the reality is Dortmund do not need to do favours. They do not need to do a cut price deal. He is 120 million euro, and United need to structure that over 3 years and get the deal done. And that's what needs to happen. So Dortmund are correct to say that they're planning next season for him. But if we pay the price, we will get the player. Surely if United has an agreement with Sancho and his agent, they would have let United know before that his contract was until 2023. So why is it a surprise? Says Aaron Heckmar. I mean, that's a very good question. Also, Mark, how many... I'm not going to read that out. And hi, Mark, what do you think of Sky Sports reporting that United will target Sarr from Watford if Sancho deals falls through? Says Ben McAuliffe. Well, look, basically, I've said this before and I've said it many, many, many times. Getting Jadon Sancho is like going out for a steak dinner or a nice vegetarian nut roast, quality food, and then getting somebody like Sarr or Douglas Costa or Ousmane Dembele or anybody else is basically like eating a cold egg cress sandwich. I mean, you might like that, but for me, it's disgusting. Look, I like Sarr. I don't mind Douglas Costa, but you're talking creme de la creme signing Jadon Sancho, and everything else is a drop off a cliff. So Manchester United have got to do that deal. So let me just read through some of the other things that have been said. On Romano, what else did he say? Manchester United are frustrated. They want to try again, and the deal is not over, according to Manchester United and the agent who is involved. So that's very firm from Fabrizio Romano. But Romano did say 120 million euros must be paid, or Jadon Sancho will not leave, and that is the takeaway here. I think you're gonna get propaganda. You're gonna get trying to save face, like Christian Falk said, and you're gonna get things coming out. Maybe from United, maybe from the British press, because they've got to turn this. If they're gonna, they can't. Basically, I've said this for a long time, and I think you all know. Manchester United can't walk away from this deal without getting a big L tattooed on their forehead. So if they're gonna walk away, they've got to try and twist it. They got away with it with Erling Haaland, and I don't think they should have done. I never agreed with this at the time. A lot of you did. A lot of you said we shouldn't be held to ransom. If he's got a release clause in 2 or 3 years, we shouldn't buy him. And I was like, sod it. At the end of the day, you get the player that makes the difference. So United will, if they're going to walk away from the Sancho deal, like they did from the Erling Haaland deal, they're going to have to play on something that you, as fans, are going to go, I agree with. But I don't think there is anything. I don't think there is anything, because I think Dortmund have made it very clear. And I think deep in your heart of hearts, you actually sympathise and agree with Dortmund. This is a player that they got for cheap, that they've built up, that has got 3 years left on his contract, and they want 120 million euros. That's the story from Dortmund. There's no, we want you to, go and plough the fields and scatter. There's no, we want you to go and solve coronavirus before you get him. It's 120 million euros. It's reasonable. It's expensive, but it's reasonable. And it's their right to ask it. United can't spin this. They can't spin it. Which is why I think last night we got a few stories about United don't want to pay Sancho any more than Rashford. Well, what a night to release that when Rashford puts in a performance like that. United don't want another Sanchez, but you're paying De Gea 350k a week. There's little things that it's almost like they're chucking bait in the water to see if any fans will jump on it and go chest banging, yeah, we agree, let's not get Sancho. But that I don't think they can PR spin this. They've gone into this deal. Maybe they've gone into it a little bit naive, thinking they could get it for a good deal, and now they know they've got to pay a lot of money. But the world knows United want Sancho. So they're either going to have to get him and deliver and take the win, or they're going to have to walk away and take a big L. And if they walk away and take a big L, I don't think they can spin this so that everyone goes, well, good on you, United, for walking away. Because the only reason they're going to walk away is what we all know, is because they don't want to pay what he's worth. And if they don't want to pay what he's worth, we're back where we have been for the last 6 years, where we're run like a business and not a football club. And basically our owners don't want to spend our money that we put into the club because they want it in their pocket. So Manchester United, Dortmund have laid it out. And Romano's laid it out there. It's 120 million euro or he won't come. Christian Falk, it's 120 million euro or he won't come. And that's what United have got to do. They've got to pay this in instalments over 3 years and they've got to get it done. Both men are saying that the terms of the deal have been agreed with Jadon Sancho, so it's now about the fee, and United have got to pay it. And that's what's going to happen. Just further things on what Christian Falk said. The agreement with Sancho is true. 120 million euro is the price. United put a very low offer in of 80 million with add-ons, and they're now trying to save face. Dortmund don't need to sell. Next year could be better for them if they wait, because coronavirus probably won't be there and he'd still have 2 years left on his contract. If Manchester United bring the money, the deal can definitely still happen. And in fact, Christian Falk was Fabrizio Romano was asked whether the deal was going to happen. He said it's likely to happen. Christian Falk was asked true or not true it will happen. He said at the moment not true, but things can change. Falk said that Sancho wants to play for United, but he won't do a Dembele. He won't go on strike. It's still a poker game. It could happen next year. But Dortmund, and this is from Christian Falk, it's still a poker game. It could happen next year. And Dortmund players are quite influential on Jadon Sancho. And they want him to stay. So that's quite interesting as well. For me, United can't wait till next year. We can't wait a year for a player like this. We've got to get this deal done now. Waiting a year would be not right, as far as I'm concerned. Dylan from Cork, if he puts in a transfer request, his people will lose percentage of the fee. Ornstein did an article about it in general a few months ago on deals, says Dylan from Cork. Well, that is interesting, isn't it? Because I think there seems to be this feeling now that Jadon Sancho's got to force the move. And if he puts a transfer request in, then he will lose he will lose money to do that. So, but as Fabrizio Romano said in this podcast, if the player has to leave, I think he'll go. If he doesn't, I think he'll stay. So, we're now in that situation where Jadon Sancho wants to play for Manchester United. He's going to have to push it, and United would have to compensate him to do that. Hi, Mark. Hopefully we get Sancho. That Zane fella is jealous of our community. Says Dylan Bradley. And yes, I mean, look, a few people are tuning in a little bit late, so I'm just going to summarise. There's been a really fantastic podcast go up in the last hour or so. Jan Argefjortov's podcast. He's had Christian Falk on and Fabrizio Romano on at the same time. Most of it was spent talking about Jadon Sancho. The first thing to Fabrizio Romano was, is this deal finito, in light of what was said yesterday by Dortmund and Michael Zorg. He said at the moment, not yet. It's not finito. United don't want it to be over. The agent involved in it doesn't want it to be over. And there is frustration, but Manchester United want to try again. There's a block at the moment, but negotiations continue. It's still likely that it'll happen in the next few weeks. The transfer window is open for 2 more months, and the deal is not over according to Manchester United, and that the player has got to do something, i.e. the player's got to say he wants to leave. So we're going to see what happens with that. But Manchester United are convinced we can do this deal in the next few weeks, according to Romano. Both Falk and Romano saying that the deal has been agreed with the player. 120 million euros is the price. Everybody is saying that. Manchester United are rumoured to have gone in with a very low offer, including add-ons, and they're going to have to pay the price if they want it to happen. And that's the situation with it. Still a poker game, says Falk. And yeah, I mean, just you know, I'm actually overjoyed by that, to be honest. I'm overjoyed by that interview today, because I think that it just gives clarity, credible clarity on what's going on. Because I can tell you what I know, and people can, from the British press, can say what they know. But do you trust them? Because you know, last week they put a press briefing out from Man United. So you know, with Falk and Romano and Fjortoft, that they're not connected to Manchester United, that they are professional transfer people, and the information that they put out, they pride on it being true. So it's great that that's come out 24 hours after what was said there. A lot of people saying, are you going to do an 8 o'clock show tonight? Well, it's 6 o'clock now. There was never going to be an 8 o'clock show tonight, but there will be an 8 o'clock show tonight. It's going to be on Mark Goldbridge, That's Football. It's a very important video because it's Wolves versus Sevilla watch along. So I will be talking all about all this then whilst watching that game. Mark Goldbridge, That's Football. Click the link in the video description. It will take you to that video. Subscribe, join me there at 8 o'clock. Wolves versus Sevilla, obviously we're playing them, or one of them, on Sunday, so I'm looking forward to that game, and we can continue the conversation there as well. Mark, I feel like Sancho won't put in a transfer request. After all Dortmund have done for him, I doubt he would ruin it by putting in a request, says Martial FC. Well, it's about what he wants to do, isn't it? It's about what he wants to do to get this deal over the line. My feeling has always been this, that for a deal to have been agreed between Jadon Sancho and Manchester United in relation to wages and personal terms, which is what Falk and Romano have both said, and it's what I was told last Tuesday, there has got to be a conversation between Manchester United and Sancho. And look, nobody can deny that Jadon Sancho wants to come back to the Premier League. I think this is one of the biggest things as an observation from me. Sancho wants to be back in England. He's done fantastic in Germany. He's had a great time there, but he wants to be back in England. He wants to be back playing in the Premier League, and he knows he's within touching distance of doing that. Now, what if United don't buy him? Look at this situation. What if United don't buy Sancho? Are they going to sit on their hands for a year and wait for him? Football waits for nobody. So United would have to go and buy a right winger. What if they buy a Sarr? What if they buy a Zaha? What if they buy a right winger who comes in and does really well? And United are like, well, Greenwood's a year better now. Rashford's back in form. Martial's another year better. We're not spending 120 million on Sancho. Liverpool go, well, we're not. Arsenal, forget about it. Chelsea are like, we're happy with what we've got. Barcelona and Real Madrid go, well, we'll take you maybe. And Sancho's opportunity's gone. So look, whilst the situation looks very difficult for Manchester United, and whilst people may say Sancho doesn't want to put a transfer request in, get into the head of somebody who wants to come back home. Get into the head of somebody who wants to come to Manchester United. And get into the head of somebody who says, who may lose that opportunity if they wait. If he wants this to happen, and I think he does, he's got to take that opportunity. And I think that's exactly what Fabrizio Romano is saying. Did you see Pogba's tweet saying tomorrow? Interesting, says Aaron Adams. Mate, I don't think you tweet tomorrow about a contract. I think you tweet tomorrow about a new pair of football boots, which are coming out tomorrow. Hi, Mark. Would you take Skriniar, Sarr, Van der Beek if we don't get Sancho, or Sancho and a centre-back? Skriniar because he isn't preferred over Godin. Your take, says Ashu. I want Sancho. I want Sancho. I think it's beyond Sancho, the player. I think it's a statement signing. It's symbolic of what the club is trying to do, and I think they have to deliver that player. On top of that, I'll show you the game last night. You tell me we don't need Jadon Sancho. Our front three is Rashford, Greenwood, Martial. Greenwood gets subbed for Mata. Rashford needed to be subbed as well. Our options off the bench are poor. This is why we need Jadon Sancho. One of those players needs to go on the bench from yesterday, and Sancho needs to start. We need competition in the front three because, as we've seen over the last few weeks of the season, one of those front three tends to have a bad game, and there's no accountability off the bench. So we need Jadon Sancho, and we also need him because it's a statement signing that puts us better. Mata did well, says Daily Smith. He did, but do you think Mata's going to win us the title over the next 2 years at 30 whatever he is? No, I don't. I really, really don't. We need Jadon Sancho for me. That's the signing that we need to make, and I really hope that Manchester United are going to make it. Fabrizio Romano has tweeted that Højbjerg to Tottenham is confirmed, by the way, if anybody's interested in that. I'm not, because I'm not a Spurs fan. Let's have a look. A couple of super chats coming in. Hi, Mark. I've done that one. And I agree with Troops. You're desperate for a signing that won't happen. FA Cup winners, says Pepe at AFC. Why are you on a Manchester United fan channel? Why are Manchester United such an obsession to you? We're in the Champions League next season. You're not. We're in a Europa League semi-final. You got knocked out by a Greek restaurant. We're going to sign Jadon Sancho. You're going to be trying to save the pennies to buy Zaha and then give us 15 million for it as well. So everywhere you look, there's a massive Ella printed on your forehead. So why are you getting why stick? You know what it is with you. It's like you drive an old Vauxhall Astra and we drive a Ferrari, and you keep trying to have a race with us, and we're like, sympathy vote. Just go and focus on your own car. Ours is looking good. Exactly. So would Sancho join Madrid, Barcelona, and just be another Bale or Hazard? Doubt it. We are a great move for him. 100% matter of time, says Pete Squire. I think I disagree with people. I think Jadon Sancho will force the move, because I think everybody's looking at Man United ruining this deal. Everyone's thinking Manchester United are going to ruin this deal. Dortmund are sat there saying they want 120 million and they're not going to move from that. But Sancho's sat there thinking, I want to play for Man United. What if this is my only chance to get back to the Premier League? Because in a year, it's all right people saying we'll sell you in a year's time. The world will change. United won't not buy a right winger and wait a year. We can't not do that. And there may not be an opportunity for him in a year. He's got to push it. He'll be well recompensed for doing it as well. Zed Jamie says the leaked Pogba news is a new pair of football boots, which is what I predicted. I thought it was going to be that or a haircut. Mark, I'm worried that Dortmund's players said he's definitely staying, says Calvin. Well, look. You're going to believe what you want to believe. I'm totally confident we're going to sign him. And there's going to be a big win here, or there's going to be a big loss here. And if you want to prepare yourself for a loss, that's fine. But the biggest loss if we don't get him is going to be Manchester United Football Club. They've let it be known that they've gone in for this player, and to walk out without him is a joke. I think people want to make it like Bruno last summer, but Bruno last summer, the club never really, whilst they were interested, whilst they were looking at him, it never really got public that we were officially looking at him. You know, you never had Romano saying it last summer that we were definitely in for Bruno. I knew we were looking at him, I knew we wanted him, but they never went as far as really following through, so to speak. But with Sancho, we all know the conversation. I mean, look, Fabrizio Romano has said it countless times. He's said it again in the last hour. United are still negotiating. The world knows we want Sancho. To walk away with your tail between your legs is... we can get bantered on Twitter. We can get bantered in the comments of this video. But the biggest loss here will be the Glazers, Woodward, Manchester United, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. If they don't do this deal, having gone in on it, so they've got to do it. They've got to do it. It's a statement signing. It's symbolic. The last 6 months have been brilliant on and off the pitch. This is the icing on the cake. They can't tread on that cake and throw it out onto the motorway. They've got to get it done. So disappointed if we do not get Sancho, but I stay positive and not take grief in advance, for nothing is decided, says Renate. Very intelligent comment. Didn't we say we spent our summer transfer money on Bruno, says Red Baron. I think they said that part of it had been spent, but so what? Mate, we don't know what Sancho wants. He can change his mind about leaving, you know, says must play. Well, look, you know, what did I just say to you? You can believe what you want to believe. Of course people change their mind. But you've just had a big update from two people that the negotiations are ongoing, that Jadon Sancho wants to come to Manchester United, and that he's agreed terms to come to Manchester United. I mean, look, you can have a hypothetical he's changed his mind while he's gone for a poo or whatever, but the reality is you've just had it from two very credible people close to this deal that he wants to come to United and he's agreed terms. You can only work off that. If you want to be Mr. or Mrs. Negative and say, oh, he's not going to come because he doesn't want to anymore, you're dealing in opinion and hypothetical. We're dealing in evidence. And that evidence can change, of course it can. Tomorrow's another day. That's the beauty of life, isn't it? But as of this moment in time, Jadon Sancho wants to come to Manchester United. Romano was just told that the deal has stopped and Sancho has to force a move, says Rohit. That's not what he said. I mean, why does somebody come into the end of the video, put a stupid comment up? That's not what he said. He spoke for about 10 minutes. And what he actually said is there's a block on the deal at the moment. He didn't say that the deal stopped. He says there's a block on the deal at the moment, but they are still negotiating. So you putting out stuff saying the deal has stopped and the players got to force the move, it's not even 30% true. It's just your opinion again. If you're going to put the information out that these people have said, quote them properly. He said there's a block on the deal at the moment in relation to the fee. But they're still negotiating. Manchester United still want to negotiate, and it's still likely to happen, and they're convinced they can still do a deal in the next few weeks. But he did also say that the player has got to do something, and if he doesn't, then he will probably end up staying. And I think what that's all about is if he changes his mind and says, I'm going to stay for another year, which I don't think he will, then obviously the player's not going to go, because Dortmund will be like, yeah, we've got what we want. So do we have to pay 120 million straight away, or can we do it in instalments? And does Sancho have to force a move if we don't pay, says Oscar Hunt. Jadon Sancho would be a fool to force the move if we're not going to pay. Like, you know, Dortmund will not go. And Ousmane Dembele is the example here. If Jadon Sancho says, I'm putting in a transfer request, it doesn't mean that Dortmund will let him go for 80 million. They'll still get the fee. I just think that Jadon Sancho's got to put a bit of pressure on the club to say, look, I want to go. That won't force the fee down. That won't happen. The evidence is there with Dortmund. They want 120 million euro. They've done it with Dembele. They've done it with Aubameyang. You don't get you don't go for cheap. Would be gutted if we don't get Sancho. Only justification would be to get 3 players in this transfer window and go all in for Mbappe next year, says Phil Flanagan. I don't think United recover from this if they don't get him. I think it's just a huge L, really. Please smash a like on the video if you're watching. Let's see if we can get 3,000 likes on the video whilst we're going. Dembele is a flop and injury prone. Don't even speak to me at Illa United about this story linking us to, I'm even pointing the finger. There's a story linking us to Ousmane Dembele. Breadstick hamstrings. He's got muscle thumbs because that's all he does, play PS4 apparently. I don't want him. Mr. Inconsistent, Mr. Flop at Barcelona. No. You don't go and get a player like that when you can get Jadon Sancho. Why would you not go and get one of the world's best talents to go and get somebody who could have been one of the world's best talents but is now flops? That would be ridiculous to do that. Anyway, look, 8 o'clock tonight, we are live on Mark Goldbridge, That's Football. Sevilla versus Wolves, watch along. We're playing one of these teams on Sunday, so it's a bit of a scouting mission. Really looking forward to that. But we'll also be talking more about Sancho there. So the 8 o'clock show is a watch along, and it's on Mark Goldbridge, That's Football. I've dropped the link in the video description. Click it, subscribe. I'll see you there at 8 o'clock. Everything you need to know is in this video over the last 20 minutes I've just been talking about. All the quotes from Falk, Romano, Fjortoft. What a great podcast. Give it a listen if you want to. Jan Åge Fjortoft on Twitter. He's tweeted out the link to go and give it a listen. I've covered virtually everything that they've said. This is where we're at. The deal is not over. United still want to do it. Sancho's probably got to push it a little bit, but we're going to have to pay 120 million euros. The terms with Sancho are done. This is where we're at. Let's see what's going to happen next. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. Keep your notifications on because we never know when we're going to go live. So subscribe bottom right hand corner. Click the bell to turn on all your notifications. Smash a like on the video. And I'll see you at 8 o'clock on Mark Goldbridge, That's Football for the watch along. Thanks for all your comments. Stick with it. Let's see what happens next.